Welcome to Biology My Passion. I am Soumya Harikrishna. We are learning the chapter Evolution, and in the previous videos we have been discussing different theories of evolution like pre-Darwinian theory, that is Lamarckism, then Darwin's theory, then post-Darwinian theory, Hugo de Vries theory. Now the last theory is called the modern concept of evolution, or it is also called the Neo-Darwinism. It is otherwise called a synthetic theory, or we also tell it's a combination of Darwin's and de Vries theories of evolution. We know, according to Darwin, natural selection is the driving force of evolution, whereas according to de Vries, a single large mutation like saltation can lead to evolution. So a combination of these two emerged as Neo-Darwinism. According to this theory, the main factors affecting evolution are genetic variations, natural selection, speciation, and reproductive isolation. We will discuss all these one by one. Individuals can pass on their genetic variation from one generation to another. So, if the genetic variations are passed on for several generations, that may eventually lead to evolution. That means a new species can form, because every new generation is accumulating more and more variations. So if you see the total content of genes in a species, that is called a gene pool. So when these genetic variations are passing on, we know certain characters are being selected, but certain characters may disappear. According to that, certain gene frequencies may increase, means whichever characters are selected, those genes are increasing. So their frequency is increasing in the gene pool. At the same time, certain other gene frequencies are decreasing also. So the change in gene frequency in a population can be due to various reasons. First one, migration, non-random mating, genetic drift, mutation, genetic recombination, or hybridization. So what is meant by migration? Migration means the organisms are moving from one habitat to another in favor of the conditions, climatic conditions mostly. So especially this happens to birds, or sometimes frogs or fish, all of them can migrate. So imagine a large group of organisms from a population is migrating to another population. So certain genes are missing in the original population. But if these organisms are coming to the new area, they are now called the immigrants, because they have come to a new area, they are the immigrants. But if they reproduce with the existing or local species, then what happens? The gene migration will occur. So that is called a gene flow. So, but whenever leaving also, certain frequencies are lost. When they are added to the new population, certain frequencies are increasing here. Then it is called a gene flow. It can cause due to migration. Then next is non-random mating. So there are certain choices. Certain times, suppose a group of birds, the female birds decide to mate only with the brightly colored birds. Okay, there is no other reason, just brightly colored birds are favored. So in such cases, the dull colored birds will be eliminated. So that is called a non-random mating. So that also will change the gene frequency. The gene frequency of the bright color will increase and that of the dull color will decrease. Then genetic drift. Genetic drift means a particular gene is selected only by chance or by accident. We know in natural selection, the nature favors the best because it has got some adaptation. Whereas genetic drift means there is no such adaptation, no such advantage, but randomly or by accident it is chosen. So very good example is given in class 10 evolution part. That is, there are a group of red beetles. Imagine, if the red beetles are on green leaves, the crows or the predators can easily spot them and pick them. But imagine by chance, by mutation, from the red population, by mutation, a few of them becoming green. So green beetles on green leaf is like kind of mimicry or camouflage. So the predator is now not able to spot them. So easily they will pick those red ones, and eventually what happens? The green will increase in number and red will decrease. Who selected green here? That is natural selection. But imagine a second situation where the same bush, where original red color beetles are there, and next mutation happened. Some of them became blue in color. For a crow, doesn't make any difference whether it is red or a blue, because blue does not have any advantage of camouflage like our green one. So here blue or red, it's equal only, crows will randomly pick them up. But imagine if blue are on one side and the red are on the other side. Due to some accident, in that example it is given an elephant is stamping on that area where all the red beetles are there. So all the red ones are wiped off, they all are dying. Now who is existing in the species? Only blue. So blue gene frequency is increasing, not by nature selection, mere by accident. Such selection of gene frequency or increase in gene frequency only by accident or calamity, that is called a genetic drift. So in that we have to discuss two more things, founder effect and a bottleneck effect. Imagine a group of people are there. This founder effect is applicable to human population. Imagine a population of 1,000 people. They are migrating to different areas. Maybe 200 people going and settling down in a new settlement. So they are the founders in that area. Okay? So they came or drifted from the original population and they became a founder now. But their gene frequency is not like the original one, because all the gene pool has not come here. Only 200 people out of 1,000 came. So here gene frequency or gene pool is different. That is called a founder effect. Another effect is bottleneck effect. Imagine another situation. These 1,000 people are living as a group. Some natural calamity occurred, maybe flood or drought or tsunami or any kind of natural calamity or earthquake. 300 only survived, 700 died. These 300 are the survivors. But is their gene pool same as the original one? No. Many alleles of the genes or many genes have lost. Only 300 people have that existing genes. So that may not be similar to the original one. So the available gene pool is less than the original population. So that is called a bottleneck effect. So next reason for genetic variation is mutation. So according to De Vries theory, mutation is the sudden heritable change that can lead to the formation of a new species, provided it is a large mutation, and we call it a saltation. We have learned mutation in another chapter in detail. I have done a detailed video on mutation. You can see the link here. And mutation can be of two types. It can be gene mutation. Suppose the base pairs of a gene is changing. For example, ATGC is a base pair, and if it is becoming AGTC, a small change, that can be a mutation. So that is called a gene mutation. Base pair is changing. There it can be point mutation, that is only a single change can happen, or addition, deletion, substitution, all that can happen. Another type of mutation is called a chromosomal aberration. That means a chromosome has many genes. So the gene sequences itself changing in a chromosome. Some part can be missing or some part can be more, or there can be euploidy, aneuploidy. All these in detail, you can refer to that in that video. Okay, so mutation ultimately leads to change in the gene frequency, so thereby leading to formation of new species, and that is also a driving force behind evolution. Then gene recombination. New combination of genes can always lead to genetic variation. When is a gene recombination occurring? We know it mainly occurs through crossing over. During Pagetine stage of meiosis 1, prophase 1, two homologous chromosomes come together and they exchange their parts. So that is a reason for recombination, right? And also when we are doing artificial hybridization and all, the recombination can occur. So whenever there is a new combination, even in biotechnology we are doing that, whenever a new combination is coming, that is changing the gene. Then hybridization. We know when we are combining two different plants for bringing desirable characters together, or in animals when we are breeding to bring superior characters of male and female into a new organism. All these cases, it will lead to alteration in the genetic constitution. So these are the reasons for the first factor for modern theory of evolution, that is genetic variation. But one thing to remember here is all these can lead to change in genetic variation, or all these can lead to genetic variation only in biparental reproduction if two parents are involved. But if there is a uniparental, that is asexual reproduction, only mutation or chromosomal gene mutation or chromosomal aberration can lead to genetic variation. Next factor leading to evolution according to modern theory is natural selection. Darwin has already proven this with the help of Alfred Wallace theory also. We know nature favors the best. That means the reproductively fit organisms, they breed well and they leave more progeny which can exist in the given environment. So they add or increase the gene pool. Their contribution is more towards the gene pool. So natural selection can be of three types. This is very important. There are three ways in which natural selection operates in this nature. The first is stabilizing. Second, directional selection. Third, disruptional selection. So what is stabilizing? From the word itself, stable means it is unwavering or some stability is there. So if you are considering any population or different phenotypes, we know that there are extreme characters or phenotypes and a median phenotype also. For example, if you are taking the height of human beings, we know very tall people are there, 6+ feet. That's not normal, but a few of them are very tall. Some people are very short, maybe 5 feet or less. So, but majority of people are in the average category. That is called the mean value. So, in certain cases, the average phenotype has got more adaptation and nature favors the average phenotype and the mean value is in the average value. So, such a natural selection is called the stabilizing natural selection, and the graph will be like this. Mean value will be in the center. The extremes are on both the sides, very tall people or very short people, but average people are more in the population. Another example here is about the birth weight of babies. So the normal birth weight of babies is considered 2 pounds to 10.8 pounds. It is noted that babies having birth weight 7 to 8 pounds seem to be having more chance of survival than others. So mean value is favored here, neither the lower extreme nor the higher extreme, but the mean value is favored, giving a graph. Second is directional selection. So in this case, one of the extreme phenotypes is selected along with the mean value. So the same case, if in this case, suppose if I tell with the example of height itself, suppose along with the mean value people, tall people are also selected and the graph will shift to one side, right? Here one example is, we know that mosquitoes had pesticide resistance previously and normal ones were also there. But once we started using DDT to kill the mosquitoes, slowly what happened? The ones which were resistant to pesticides, they were only extremes, but they got selected. So the graph is shifting to one extreme. That is the example of what? Directional selection. And the third is called the disruptional selection. In this case, the extreme phenotypes have more adaptability compared to the median value or the average value or phenotype. Original population will be drifted into two peaks. For example, there is a bird called a black-bellied seed cracker. So they have two types of beaks. Either they can have small bills or the large bills. But it is noted that both these are selected. These extremes, small billed ones and large billed ones are selected, whereas the median ones are not surviving. So this is an example of disruptive. The changes or genetic variations accumulating over a period of time can lead to the formation of a new species. So that is called a speciation. So when speciation is happening, that means evolution is happening. Then the last factor is reproductive isolation. So simply if a change is happening or genetic variation is happening, it may not lead to speciation. But what is the necessity here? Reproductive isolation. For example, I told you in the last video also, suppose this is a species, okay, it is reproducing and it is making another species of the same kind, offsprings. But later, after a few generations, there comes a minor change, that is a red color one. Okay, so if this red color one, if again crossing back this with this black ones, there may not be changes going further. Maybe the genes will come back and it may not change. But when this minor change is happening, that time itself, if this red is being isolated from the original population, then further changes may accumulate in this, which will lead to speciation. So for speciation, what is required? Reproductive isolation. Reproductive isolation can occur in many ways. That is, it may be due to geographical isolation or mechanical isolation or gametic isolation or genetic isolation. Any type of isolation can happen in this regard. So that is all about the theories of evolution. Hope you understand my lessons. If so, please like, share and subscribe to my channel, Biology, My Passion.